Hi guys, hi everybody, welcome to Cat Tarot, welcome to my channel. My name is Kat. So let me start first of all with very short housekeeping. I'm on vacay from the 1st to the 7th, so upon my return I will address the readings in order, which will be first urgent, then rush, then regular. And I expect that you're still going to get within the time that you have ordered. So be careful with ordering basically urgent during that week. Also, I won't be able to be contacted, so all of the messages will be returned on the 8th. So guys, also don't forget to join social media, and also remember that I have live on Saturdays. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. During the summer months, it's going to be bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks is going to be live. Also, if you're part of my mailing list, which you can go on my website to kind of sign yourself on, then you can get some notification as well. So lastly, guys, if you're new here, welcome. And if there is anything that really resonates with you, one statement, two, whatever, usually not everything resonates because this is a general reading, but if anything resonates, that means that message was meant for you. I also suggest that you check not only your sun sign but also your ascendant and your moon. That's going to give you better kind of like triptych to kind of pull all of things together. So this month, because as probably you can hear, I have horrifying allergies, so it's really hard for me to talk. I'm going to kind of like be more focused, maybe really quick 10 minutes within what YouTube recommends. And I'm going to start with astrology because you really liked it last month, and I'm also going to combine with tarot. So let's do that. Alright, so the overview, astrological overview. The first significant astrologic event of July 2020 is a lunar eclipse, just like the previous month. Also, like the previous month, the eclipse happens on the 5th, but this time the sun-moon opposition is on the Cancer-Capricorn axis, which basically foretells certain situations, and they usually relate to career, or to home, or family. And these situations are either going to reach resolution or some kind of climax. So that keeps it in mind, right? It's kind of like that huggy feeling, but it's also there is like an ambition connecting to it. So many of us might deal with events or situations that put our emotional maturity to the test. And this is like being like a little baby, kind of like, I want this, I want this. So, but if you catch yourself doing that, you go, oh, that's what it is. I'm not completely lost it, right? I didn't completely lose it, right? So many of us may deal kind of like with the situation that we will be tested if we have ability to persevere on our chosen path by honoring our families, but really also at the same time remaining independent from them. So in some cases, this energy of this lunar eclipse can spur an epiphany kind of related to how our families have shaped and influenced choices we have made in our lives, right? Lannister always pays his debts. It's kind of like something that family kind of like ingrained inside of us. So some of us might even decide to make significant changes when it comes to our career or the direction in which our lives were going. And we might actually also reach conclusion that we have been going by the desires of our parents instead of following our own star, following our own dreams. So maybe you want to look and transport yourself back 2 years, because there was like some kind of situation that started like 2 years ago, and now it's ending. It's making room for new directions to go in. So this sun-moon opposition happens around the lunar nodes, and they are situated on Gemini-Sagittarius axis, which suggests the need to free ourselves from that obsolete kind of thing. It's sort of like beliefs or dogmas and something we keep repeating, but it's kind of like you're wondering, like, how do I really connect with this, right? And especially if you have South Node in Sagittarius, which is kind of like being that master in the past life and now needing to communicate it in Gemini, right? So in order to embrace these new ideas, which is that North Node in Gemini, maybe it is a time to ask ourselves what really family means to us. what really happy family is. Hello? Anybody read Anna Karenina? And also whether we can regard society as a whole as a larger family, as part of which we all should contribute. So this guy is really age of Aquarius coming on. Everything that you're seeing outside, it's kind of need for equality. Sometimes the pendulum swings one way too much, but the whole point is understanding that we all want the same. You and the next person, you all want the same. You want happiness, you want love, you want peace. Yeah, maybe one person can have better shoes than the other one, but how important that really is, right? Because the circumstances that we are going to see on a social level can be a sort of a buildup of frustration, and that's why we see this manifestation of unrest, right? So until July 22nd, 2020, lots of twos, 222020, so 4 of them. The Sun transits Cancer. So that's basically also there's Mercury until July 12th. So this is kind of like we need to deal with that retrograde as well. So throughout the month, the Sun and Mercury are in opposition to these other retrograde planets from Capricorn. So like Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So as a result, we will notice that it's not quite easy to find a balance between a private and professional lives. Many of us are working from home, and this could be pandemic kind of like imposed, or it could be that you're self-employed and you really have to figure out how to motivate yourself when you're sort of like not, especially if you're extrovert, where you kind of like need other people, how to draw that energy when you're like kind of like withdrawn or secluded, right? So it might be tensions with family members or higher-ups, so kind of like no time to kind of like make these big waves, but discussions have a great chance of proving to be really productive, provided that we are patient enough. Cancer is one patient sign. So happy birthday, Cancers. If I'm forgetting to say that, it is your time, and it is really amazing how one sign can encompass both this like kind of come to my heart, come and shrewdness about focusing and chasing your own goals. So let's go back also to that retrograde planets in Capricorn, that are Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, but Mars is still in Aries, and this is its own domicile. So just think about you came home. You're not anymore at Aunt's house. You no longer have to dress for breakfast. You no longer kind of like have to comb your hair and everything. You can kick and do whatever you want, right? So as of the end of the previous month, 27th, and it has the opposite effect, right? So as a result, we are really confident in our own devices, and sometimes this is too much. You see people who you think like, oh, you really shouldn't be confident, but it's kind of like ultimately a good thing, because we all are kind of like walking that perch, and we all are going to face our own demons. So there is no need for us to correct anybody, right? And it's going to be really strong need for novelty and pioneering, and we might run into obsolete system. So I don't know, maybe your grandparents will want you to kind of like check their, what was this, like 8-track or something, kind of like hilarious. So kind of like, again, advice is just be patient, guys, in this situation. So keep in mind that, you know, during the near future, we can progress without keeping in mind the past, right? So for some of us, this might be a right time to resume some older projects that we have been postponing for whatever reason. So Mars is the one that gives us the desire to see this project through, and also gives us that dose of boldness which we have been missing in the past. So socially, however, there might be a buildup of frustrations and tensions that might trigger a conflict. It would be like, blah, like I always wanted to tell you, but blah, it's all out there, right? And so it can trigger that conflict, and it can blow up as of August 2020. That's when Mars will square with the planet situated in Capricorn, right? During this term, it's more important than ever to carefully weigh Our every decision, gesture, and word, whatever we're talking about love life, sex life, professional projects, your social life, whatever, right? We should always keep in mind the long-term consequences and even remember the mistakes of the past so we don't make them again. Yeah, we usually remember that later. So during this term, saving graces can be professionalism, a responsible attitude, all kind of like we have to thank to Cancer for teaching us all of that, and also the ability to come up with long-term strategies. We also shouldn't feel obligated to solve all issues at once or the same moment, the same day. So since Mars spends a lot of time in its domicile sign, so it's usually spending 6 weeks, and now it's spending whopping 6 months, right? It's going to be also in retrograde motion in September, in the fall, right? So everything we now initiate is likely to go through an ample process of remaking and redefining a couple of months from now, because that's what happens in retrograde. You're looking, like, did I switch the light off? Did it, like, you're checking yourself a little bit, right? So do not rush it, right? Then we also have conjunction of Mars and Chiron, July 12th to 16th, which points out the fact that in some of our lives, some older issues and frustrations might come to light when we thought them long gone, right? We can make the most of the energy of this conjunction in order to become aware of the wounds that trigger an aggressive self-defense mechanism. Conjunction means they're really, really close, right? 2 degrees close. So almost like in the sky, they look like they're hugging, kind of a thing, right? So this is also kind of like finding a way toward healing. And by doing that, again, as I said, we are all connected. You have to keep others in mind too, right? So don't kind of like think, oh, I got hurt, I'm going to make you suffer as well. That's not going to work unless you want to kind of bring some really negative karma points on you, right? So Mars also, because now we have Mars in Aries and Venus in Gemini, so very flirty, very aggressive, right? So socially, it's going to be kind of like bursting. It's going to be open and it's going to be daring, and maybe getting a chance to build new connections. I guess stay safe as I'm saying this, but this simply, many of us will forget that kind of like word of caution, right? So the effects of the Mars-Venus combo also mean good news for those who are involved in older or even newer relationships, because they can easily kind of like evade the day-to-day rut and come up with really smart comeback that create a desire for flirting and goofing around, right? It's like usually when we really need to say something, clever, like we get stuck and then we say something boring and go, I had this opportunity. Why did I kind of like lose it, right? Also keeping in mind that at the same time, possessive or codependent people, or some of those people who decide, nope, I'm not going to change. Oh, sweet negative me, I'm going to be this way, what it is. They're going to feel completely out of base. They're going to feel really weirded out. It's going to be really super easy to spot them, almost as if all the lights are shining on them, and not in a good way, right? Because the energy of this term favors relationships in which partners know how to allow each other space and freedom of thought, right? So that's much so far, guys, and let's go in the individual signs and see how, in addition, that spiritually Hi Leos, and welcome to your July. So let's see what we have in store for you. I actually shuffled the cards before I start. I cleaned them and I want to shuffle them a little bit just for you. So there is like complete randomness for my Leos for July of 2020. So we have 10 of Swords reversed, and then we have another 10 here hiding, and the first major is the Star, also reversed. So you're bringing into this month the sense of healing. You're bringing into this month that just as I said, you may be redefining the family structure. Maybe you're redefining something that you have been once very hopeful about, no longer makes much sense to you. Maybe you even feel that certain things are a burden. Maybe you're kind of looking at things in a completely different way, right? So 10 of Swords, and I really like how it really shows in this deck, because look at it, there is like this star, wishing upon the star, which we have here, right? But it is about everything has been placed on the table and it just didn't work for you. It was not a deal that you want to take. Maybe something was too expensive. Maybe you wanted to be with someone, but the price was just, you know, your peace, or it kind of like really wouldn't be important. Maybe you are not on that pedestal, right? This clearly, it could be also some kind of disturbance with your family unit, and this is kind of like what kind of July we will have. I guess we are getting into the Leo like the last week in July, so we are going to see how this connects now. So the centers, we have King of Wands reversed, but it is like with the Three of Pentacles. So what is really important here to note, and this would be you, look at this big kind of like lion, kind of like statue over here. But a King of Wands, when reversed, can be very demanding, and it could be, I do things all the time, and what about you, blah blah blah, right? But it can be complete nonsense, right? It could be like this 1 month long PMS moment kind of a thing, right? You know what I mean over here, right? So this is kind of like now reversed, but it's combining with this. It's kind of like telling me that it could be some kind of like situation. Maybe you're feeling that you, maybe it's simply pandemic, that you feel, oh my gosh, I'm locked up, I just can't do it anymore, I have to do it. But there is like this sense of contribution, and there is this sense of collaboration that I really see here, which is still going to come to the surface. Like, I mean, we all kind of like do stuff to kind of like bitch and to kind of like do things, but ultimately majority of us do the right thing, right? And there is like this Cancer period over here. This is Mercury retrograde, I believe, here. Even though this card doesn't mean Mercury, it doesn't mean retrograde, it simply means Cancer. And everything that I said in the introduction about astrology really, really applies over here, right? Because this is also about the family and the nurturing, and who wronged you, who didn't wrong you, who took away some kind of hopes that you had, right? And you really don't care. You just say, like, off you go. All of that can go right in a ditch, and I really, really don't care. It's kind of like, I really feel that something was so important to you at one point, but it doesn't have a hold on you anymore. It is kind of like essence of things are being turned around. Yep. Maybe you have been involved in some kind of situations. Maybe this was a third-party relationship. That's kind of like what this card usually kind of comes to me as. And it was like bailing yourself out of the situation. Maybe this is also involving marriage. So that's why I see the third party. Somebody is otherwise engaged. And this sometimes can mean that they just simply don't kind of like feel that you're that important, right? This feels kind of like it's not the two of you against the world. There is like not sense of no matter what we'll be together, right? In thick and thin, right? So maybe you have made a decision just based on something was just not good on a paper, right? And or you are not going to be a part of my family. Maybe it was a prospect in dating. Maybe it was somebody at work who simply didn't pull their weight, or was maybe trying to go to the back door of some sort. That's all can be shown over here. Whoa, did I turn the deck around? Like, I mean, and there is the Empress. She's reversed. So I think this more or less talks to me about Mercury retrograde. Pardon me, Venus retrograde that just finished recently. And it is about essence of maybe being a little bit spoiled, but it's also essence of demanding pampering, right? I have a coaching client who is a Leo, and the problem I have with her, and she will know who I'm talking about, is like she doesn't pamper herself enough. So this can actually mean that you literally need to take time out to do things to you, whether this is doing your nails in a salon on your own, especially ironing your dress. Things are going to make a huge difference. So now we have 2 3s, and 3 is the beginning stage in tarot, not 1. 1 is conception, right? 2 is like strategy and positioning, but 3 is go, kind of like state in tarot. And so you might have some kind of hesitations about something, since this kind of like rules nurturing, and this is reversed as well. The 10 of Pentacles is reversed. Maybe there will be collapses and clashes within your family unit, and that's going to be really, really important. Something from the past is sprouting right back. I love this card. I have never seen Ace of Wands as well portrayed as this one. Something that was old, something that you didn't think would ever grow. Not only is it growing, but it's sustainable. It's sustaining things. It's going to shed its own shell, but it's still to basically tell you that that was something that maybe you started to build somewhere in the past. So that's again Mercury retrograde. Somebody might be sending you a message on Instagram. You will get a text, you'll get WhatsApp, kind of a thing. And the whole point behind it, even though it might be very innocent, it will be kind of like wanting to grow. And it could be that it's the very person with whom you kind of like had things going right down in a ditch previously, right? Yeah, you kind of like felt that somebody's a high risk. So you might also feel that this person is not financially adept, and you're also looking in your own situation right now this month. It's kind of like possibly pre-birthday jitters. You are saying to yourself, and I see that all along, that we are doing almost like weeding out people in our life, activities in our life, and what we want to do, right? Look at this. We have 3, we have 5, and we have 7. It's kind of like the challenging path that I see here, and something just came to a halt. Maybe you don't want to drive the same car. This also, I think I need to warn you, be careful in driving. This can indicate transportation issues, but it's going to be only in the first week of July in your case, right? And maybe that's why you might be a little bit, taking time off work. You might be a little bit of drama queen, but you will simply need your time and your healing for yourself. Then you have a Queen of Swords in your environment. There is a person who will have a nurturing quality after all. So nurturing to you is not going to be, aw, here, come here, cry, blah, blah, blah. No, nurturing for you is going to be in terms of motivation, in terms of inspiration, in terms of somebody saying, hey, what's up with you? What is this? Are you a pussycat or a lion? Kind of a thing. Somebody who is going to really push the right buttons to kind of like put you in a direction. Somebody who knows you very well. Could be our sign, doesn't have to be. It's just general reading, guys, right? But in this particular month, there are going to be lots of influences. You might have Libra influence, which means you will try to figure out what is right, what is wrong, and what works for you. You'll have Taurus. You'll start thinking, hey, you know what? I kind of like have to figure out how to kind of like set my nest egg. It's kind of like very protective energy. But then you have Aquarian energy, which will make you very rebellious, especially in your kind of like household, in your family unit, possibly even at your work. And I remember what I said in introduction, you need to be patient, you need to be strategic, otherwise everything goes to hell. The brakes are not working, you say something bad about your boss, and ta-da, like I'm in the disaster strikes kind of a thing. So be very, very, very careful, right? And also there is like this Cancerian energy, right, where there is like this nurturing that is kind of done, but you're seeing that it's not done the way you want it. It's kind of there, its possibilities there, but it's kind of like has to be redefined. And look, we have another 5, which is also mirroring this one, and this one is reversed, which is good. So there is like this essence, and this is in your hopes and fears category. The essence that over here I have is about, oh my gosh, the things that are lost. And like it's usually you hear very old people talking about, oh yeah, and regrets and everything. And in that moment when you're hearing this, you're usually promising yourself, oh, I'm going to end up like that. Oh, I'm going to make sure, I do my bucket list and whatnot. Now you're reassessing this bucket list and you're saying, is this really making sense? Do I really want to do this bungee jumping? Why don't I really read a book instead? Or why do I not get to know so and so better? Why don't I make this first move? Because this is like about some old grievances, and this could be about a third party over here that is being involved, maybe about the lack of nourishment. Maybe this person didn't choose you. That's kind of how it looks like, that you finally maybe pull all the swords. Maybe you were hoping that it's going to be a family. That can be seen that way as well. But this is really talking about you're over it. You're absolutely over it. It's kind of done. It's not emotional trigger. Ooh, and then you're having this Knight of Swords. You have a Queen of Swords, you have a Knight of Swords. You guys are getting sharp. You, maybe there's like something old coming through, not necessarily the same person, but it could be sometimes that the new person arrives. This could be an air sign in your situation. As I said, it could be also earth sign. It could be also water sign. But if it is the water sign, you'll find them a little bit too mushy for you. So you will know how to recognize that, right? But this is a person with a plan, and you are going to feel very enthused. You're going to start feeling busy. You're going to try to do it. Sometimes when we finish something that is karmic, when we finish, let's say, a chapter in our life or even book, that we feel, oh, I will never do this again. Oh, no. The next thing you know, you make the decision and somebody all of a sudden wonderful comes in your life and you are so grateful until 3 months later when you realize it's the same freaking thing. How I didn't see that. And you didn't, because the destiny is testing you and didn't want to come on a plate and say, well, so the package comes nicely, and then when you start unpacking it, underneath you see the lesson is asking you, okay, last question on the test, let's see if you pass it. And you're going to have a different attitude in this situation, and maybe this is why King of Wands is showing up, because you're going to say, you know what, see this is the line you don't cross, bye-bye, kind of a thing. You guys are going to have this resolute freaking attitude that is going to be no stopping. I love this King of Knight of Swords. It's the dude that is kind of braving the storm. It's the dude that is really out there when you need somebody. It's somebody who will cover you, somebody who will help you, somebody who will protect you. So you are going to have this huge newfound energy that is going to be really enjoyable. And it could be just something that was old, or maybe some old ideas, maybe some old dreams that you feel maybe went sideways, that went down in a ditch. They're going to be revisited and they are going to start to happen. So my dear Leos, enjoy it. It's going to be a really lovely month. And just remember, you'll have one person who will really kind of like set you in this new process. So it's going to be really lovely to observe this. So guys, this is monthly, and until the next time, guys, check my website if you want your reading, cattarot.ca, and in the meantime also check my social media. Love you, all the best.